Finally made it out to Arizona. What a great state. Interesting day and a half for me, obviously. One of the more interesting things of my day today, day one after the President Trump letter came out, is the AP reaching out. And they want to run an article debunking the report, or it's really an amassing of all the individual state reports. Now, the lady wanted my analysis state by state. Well, it took me, how many weeks to put all that out? 3-4 weeks. So, given her deadline and obviously my obligations, I'm not able to give her a thorough summary of that. So what I did instead was I sent her the article General Flynn and I collaborated on, that is the 10 key points, and it's a national overview of the election. Nobody wants a piece of that because nobody can make an excuse except for COVID or high turnout. So turnout. There are some interesting indicators that suggest turnout enthusiasm for candidates. So candidate enthusiasm, which everyone knew was huge. And then, of course, the difference in primary support for Biden versus Trump. Biden has very little base support, and Trump, of course, tremendous base support. And we also know Trump had a tremendous amount of votes. So the point is, they came at me with an angle of debunking your article, not validating any of the points, which, of course, I responded and said, this is something that can easily be validated or invalidated with full forensic audits. Biden won Pennsylvania by 80,000 votes, which is 2,000 votes more than Trump carried Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin in 2016. 80,000 votes, and he's going to Pennsylvania to make sure there's no audit. So we're doing everything in the world to make sure there's no audit. And meanwhile, the angle is we're going to just debunk this. So I sent you the 10 points, and nobody can really debunk them with any sort of certainty. And after all, the call is to audit the irregular result. Okay, so fine, we're going to go with the hypothesis that Biden won the election. So how did it happen over all of these trends and indicators? Somebody will say bellwethers are no longer valid. Okay, fine. How about we look at primary share of the vote? Okay, how about we look at party registration? How about we look at the trend of Florida? Why don't we look at any other of the 10 factors that we have going on? So it's not just any one thing. Bellwethers do die off sometimes, but not all of them. Needless to say, they don't have the best interest of the people in mind. Propaganda arm. Joseph Goebbels said, if you tell a lie big enough and often enough, people will begin to believe it as the truth. You're being told and gaslighted that there is no fraud, none. Well, I just posted an article from Houston about a Democrat operative blowing the lid off of their voter fraud scheme in Houston. And I said, Houston is full of fraud, a ton of it, tons of it. I can't remember what number I put on it, probably about 60 or 80,000, but I'm very lenient. So this number, of course, boomed 30%. A similar-sized Democrat voting county, Miami-Dade, actually went down in votes because, well, I don't think they saw that coming, the Trump surge like he had in Houston as well. That is the Hispanic working class. So what I'm saying is, the more these forensic audits are danced around, the more some people appear to be telling you a true story. Vet all the information yourself, start with every hypothesis being true, and then work backwards, not start out where we're going to debunk it. So, am I upset? Not really. It's just kind of a validation of what I've always known about the media. But throw them something else, throw something on their plate. Here we go. Here's an article, try to debunk this one, because no one can. Well, our political experts, they all agree that there was no fraud. That's cool. My Doberman agrees that there's not enough meat in his bowl. That's a kind of an interesting take. But you saw it with your own eyes. Do you remember the pipe break in Georgia and then repeated scanning of ballots? So we have the Senate hearing here in Arizona. Repeated scanning of ballots. How many times? That's what we don't know. The question we need to ask is how much. So we have these two states, Arizona and Georgia. Of course, we have Michigan, the boarding up at the TCF Center. I'm sure that was done just so they could count peacefully the votes coming in with no issues there, no double, triple, quadruple scanning going on. It's totally normal to have 3 days to count votes in Pennsylvania and Georgia when it takes 90 minutes to report all the votes in Texas and Florida. So stop getting impacted by the gaslighting. Keep involved. Let them run their articles, because I gave them that to run with. Remember what Trump used to tweet? He'd misspell a word on purpose. And all it would do is, it would go to people, and some people would say, well, Trump's an idiot, he misspelled a word. And then other people would be like, man, our country is being overrun. That's fine. Let them look at the 10 points. The point is always that this is irregular. We need to audit these specific places. It should be an interesting article.